Well, the president called the impeachment inquiry against him a, quote, lynching. Trump tweeted, all Republicans must remember what they are witnessing here, a lynching. And fellow Republican Senator Lindsey Graham has agreed with the president's assessment. Take a look.
I think that's pretty well accurate. This is a sham. This is a joke. I'm going to let the whole world know that if we were doing this to a Democratic president, he would be all over me right now. So, yeah, this is a lynching in every sense. This is un-American.
On the other hand, many Democrats and even some Republicans, actually a lot, are outraged by the comparison. Like Susan Collins, who tweeted, lynching brings back images of a terrible time in our nation's history, and the president should never have made that comparison. Lindsey, I go straight to you. And first, before we start, we haven't done a ton of Trump because we're trying to move on and discuss things that really affect you guys. But we felt in the morning meeting, and as we discussed, I'm just being 100% honest with you guys, with our diverse crew here, it would be a miss for you and for us to not discuss this. So I just wanted to be super 100% honest with the audience. Go ahead, Lindsey.
So I never think you should use the word lynching unless we're actually talking about historical lynching in this country. It's loaded, charged, and inappropriate. I also think when Clarence Thomas used it in 1991, when he was getting confirmed to be Supreme Court Justice, it was inappropriate when he called that a high-profile lynching. That said, I'm just looking at the context and hoping that the president did a knee-jerk reaction tweet, because and just said the words to say how he feels. Because if you look at the history of impeachment for Trump, right, you have from 2016, before he was even in office, in December, Elizabeth Warren had already suggested, let's look into articles that could possibly impeach him. And then you have in July of 2017, 6 months after he took office, a Democratic congressman in Texas and California, two of them already introducing articles of impeachment to the House floor. So for 4 years straight, we've been trying to impeach the same man, and it's kind of like, let's just do it if we're going to do it.
So I don't want to do Republican or Democrat, really. I just want to do like morally good or bad right now. And I think we can all agree that lynching, to me, was a very deliberate way to cause distraction by racial tension. And I want to just tell you a quick story of why I think he did this deliberately. In 2005, Trump was on Howard Stern, and he said, I pitched this great idea on The Apprentice, that one year a team would be all white people with blonde hair against an all African-American team. And Howard Stern said, well, wouldn't that incite kind of a racial war? And he said, yeah, but think of the ratings. And NBC obviously turned that down. But I'm talking about a type of producer and man that thinks that's a good idea. I think you don't use the word lynching in 2019, especially if you're the president, without being morally repugnant. And I just want to know what you have to say about that.
For sure, I think there's context, but I think you're pretending like Trump hasn't been using charged words for the past 4 years, right? So you're saying on the one hand that you don't give him any credit because you don't think that he is fit to lead this country in many ways, but then on the other hand, you're saying that he's using this dialogue as a master plan kind of to take down everything and just this brilliant genius.
I don't think he's a genius. I think he's good at spin. And I think he knew lynching would take us away from impeachment, which we're doing, and discussing the racial tension, which he loves to create in the House. I also just want to show a tweet by Michael Steele, a Republican. This is in response to Lindsey Graham. He just tweeted this. This is lynching. Trump, this is not happening to you, and it's pathetic that you act like you're such a victim. But it did happen to 147 black people in your state, Lindsey. A lynching in every sense. You should know better.
But why are you guys acting like the people that are saying these actually care or have done their research? Yeah. I don't think he cares. And I think that fundamentally separates him from you, Lindsey, you, Brandon, and you, Tori. I think you guys are conscious of the words coming out of your mouth and the impact that those words have. That's why I wouldn't say, hey, my DBL contract, I feel like a slave. Because you know what that word means and what people dealt with.
Do you think he's doing this? I think he's doing this deliberately, which makes it a different type of moral repugnance.
I think he's doing it, and I'm sorry, Brandon. I think he's doing it to bring his base closer to him. Like, look, we are white men in 2019, we are put upon, we are now forced to use gender pronouns, we are now forced to do things that we never thought we'd have to do, not grab women's breasts at work. This is now the world that we've inherited. And the way that he pulls his base in is being like, hey, now it's happening to us. And the story we're about to cover with white supremacists is all about white men being put upon. That's what this is.
Al, answer my question. The word lynching, he put it out there, in my opinion, to go, boop, now I can sit back and let another news cycle go without me being being in the charge. I think he did it deliberately. Do you
So
guys?
you're saying that every day he just gets on Twitter and manufactures what he's going to say to incite chaos?
Yes.
No, he literally just gets on there and says his thoughts. I think you're giving it way too much credit.
The word lynching to Donald Trump, who was already fined with his father in 1973 for not allowing blacks to live in his apartment building, he knows that word. He has to know that word.
I think you have to care to do enough. I don't think he cares.
I
don't think he cares.
Here's the reason why I agree with Tori, because we're not talking about Turkey, we're not talking about the Kurds, we're not talking about Syria right now. What are we talking about? Lynching. So I kind of have to agree with Tori on this one.
Okay.
All right, DBL Nation, we want to know what you think.